Welcome to the Atlanta Realtors Rundown podcast, your voice in real estate. I'm your host, Neel Midha, here to bring you the latest insights, trends, and success stories in all things real estate. Today, we're diving into a topic that's close to the heart of our industry and community. It's the start of Hispanic Heritage Month, and while many organizations around the country are moving away from diversity programs, our association is doubling down on connectivity, collaboration, and inclusion. We celebrate and observe the historic heritage months for all our multicultural partners. I'm joined today by two guests. Firstly, Geilia Taylor-Parker, the Director of Community and Engagement and Diversity for ARA and ACBR. Welcome, Geilia.
Thank you.
And also my friend Helen Hernandez-Archer, who's not just a guest, but also a podcast host, and a proud member and past president of the Atlanta chapter of NAHREP. Thank you for coming.
Hola.
Hola. ¿Cómo estás?
Bien, bien.
That's as much as I know, so I'm going to stop right there. So just before we start, NAHREP, can you explain what NAHREP actually stands for?
So NAHREP stands for the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. It's a national organization based out of San Diego. It has chapters all over the United States and Puerto Rico, and pretty much in every state. In multiple in Florida, for instance, it has multiple chapters, just like in California and New York. But it serves a community of Hispanic real estate professionals, but anybody can join. Basically, it's really to serve our communities. It's to the communities that we serve. It's really a resource for that. We advocate for our communities, and as well as we find that in that networking of professionals, we can serve our communities better.
So give us some examples of how we're able to better help our communities.
So, for instance, I was president of the Atlanta chapter in 2013. By the time I became president, I was part of the association as a member. And, you know, I got involved, started to get to know other real estate practitioners that, like me, serve Hispanic communities in Gwinnett, in DeKalb, in different parts of the city. And we all like help each other out. Like, for instance, there's times that I'm not gonna go to Beaufort. So I know that if I have a client in Beaufort that is Hispanic, I will call my counterpart over there, you know, with Richard, that I know him, and I met him through the association more than 12 years ago. And he's always in the top ranking realtors for Georgia. And so it is created a community of elevated professionals that we all know each other, and also we help each other out. So if they have questions about Smyrna and Cobb County, they know they can call me. And the same with it's not only realtors, it's also all the professionals that serve our communities: closing attorneys, lenders, inspectors, basically every little thing, every little profession, or not little, but every profession that hits or that serves our communities. We are all joined together, and that's why it's such a unique, association, in the sense that you don't have to be Hispanic. First of all, that's very important to say. You don't have to be Hispanic to join, but you do want to join, because if you do have, or if you ever encounter a client or a potential customer that speaks Spanish or is Latino or Hispanic, you want to know how to handle that transaction. We work sometimes mostly in English. For instance, my business specifically has benefited from it, because I became basically a leader. As a president, you learn how to lead an organization. Then I became part of the national board. I met with all the top agents nationwide, and they do have conferences nationwide, and they put this report that is amazing. It's called the State of Hispanic Homeownership Report yearly, and it's full of amazing data that they create for free for all of us to use, just to really understand where we stand and how to be served as a community. So I encourage everybody, this organization is dearest to my heart. I've met amazing leaders who are now CEOs of companies through this organization. And it's not only on the national level, but it's the local level as well. So again, you don't have to speak Spanish. The events are all in English, and it's a very low cost for the membership, but it's so much that you could get out of it.
And I'd say, I mean, I've heard some of the information that's in the home ownership report, and it is really enlightening stuff, and it goes into lots of different information. NAR produces their own buyers and sellers report. I think this is a really good addition to that, and it shows, you know, how many more Hispanic people are actually buying houses, and that percentage is going up and up.
Yes,
every
we
year.
are the minority majority of
Right.
homeowners. That will be the majority of homeowners by 2050. So if you want to be in this market, especially Atlanta has changed significantly in that. And you got Hispanic in all kinds of prices. It's no longer the first-time home buyer. You have it in the luxury arena. You have it in the middle price point. So you do want to become, knowledgeable and become a resource for the people you serve.
Right.
And although I will say the majority of my clients are international and probably 90% Hispanic, they all speak English, but it's about the culture, Neel. It's not necessarily about the language. It's the culture and how, you can connect with them.
Right.
And this organization does a lot of great local events that they put together. So I encourage our members to become part of it and support it, because it is supporting your business. It helps your business. You will always need some type of contractor, specifically contractors that speak Spanish, that, not only contractor, a lender. Perhaps they don't necessarily need you to speak Spanish, but the lender is important.
Right.
And I've had some cases where they really want that lender to speak Spanish. So the organization is going to have a lot of different lenders from all different types of banks, and there's a lot of money that is into play for our communities. So it's, why not take advantage of it?
You've convinced me. Where do I sign up?
All right, see? Sold. I'll send you the link.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll make sure.
Maybe it's nahrep.org. Don't want to miss a chance to get them signed
Yeah.
up.
That's right.
Yeah. So nahrep.org is a place that you can go to and be able to sign up.
Yes.
So Geilia, as part of the Office of Diversity, can you give us a snapshot of what, ARA has done in this area, and what's the mission and why it's important?
Absolutely. So the mission is to be more inclusive intentionally. That's in short form, being intentionally inclusive and reaching out to other organizations. As you know, one of the things we've been very successful with is partnering with multicultural organizations like NAHREP. We also partner with ARA, which is the Asian Real Estate Group. We partner with the Empire Board of Realtors. Those are African-American people who sell real estate who once were not allowed to be realtors, so they created their own group called Realtists.
Right.
There's also the LGBTQ plus Alliance, Real Estate Alliance, and the WCR, which is the Women's Council of Realtors. And partnering with those organizations, we were able to invite, let me back up and say this. Some of them were at the table, at the board table, but when this position was created, post George Floyd, post 2020, I started in 2022.
Okay.
My first charge was formalize these relationships with these organizations. And we created an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with each organization. In doing that, my first order of business was meet the presidents and have a conversation with each of them, which I did. I did that individually, but they all said the same thing. And what they said to me was, we've been invited into the room, but we don't have a voice. We can't vote. Our opinions are not necessarily welcome, is how they felt at the time. And that was eye-opening for me.
Right.
So as an advocate coming from the diversity space, my background was not in real estate. My background's in diversity. And so I've been in that space for years. As an advocate for them, went back to the board and said, hey, this is the message that's coming across. And I got the board to understand the importance of them having a vote, because unlike every other board member, the presidents of those organizations don't just represent themselves and their own individual interest. They represent the interest of a whole collective group of people. And so the experience they were having with our association was the experience they were taking back and telling their members. So if they leave the boardroom or leave this association space and don't feel truly, genuinely welcome, then they're not encouraged to say to their members, you should be a part of this.
Right.
So our success is that we did get the board to approve for them to have voting rights. So now each year, the president or their designee sits on the board. They have full voting rights. They are a full board member. And now we have seen some increases. It's really not easy to measure necessarily from a metric standpoint in terms of quantifying the numbers. But what I love to hear is walking into a space and you hear people say, wow, the room looks different.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The room looks different. That's the measure of success. That is what I like to hear, and that's because of the intentionality of showing up at their events, showing up for things that matter to them, inviting them into the spaces that matter to us, and showing them that we care about their growth. And so in doing so, many of them have started to be more participative. Is that a word I'm making up?
Participate.
I'm making up a word.
It's a good word. We'll use
it.
We'll use it.
You get it. They've been participating more, and they invite their members to come to our events. They're more engaged, and the room does look different.
Let me tell you something about the room.
Tell me.
I've been with the board 20 years. 20 years will be this month.
Wow.
I got my license in 2005, and I also got my broker's license. And when I tell you it was different, I was the only Hispanic.
Oh, wow.
I don't even remember. Now I see Manny that is very involved, but it has changed significantly. Like last year when I was in that room, I was looking around. I'm like, wow, how we have become finally the representation of Atlanta.
And you hit on the main point. That is the underlying goal. The underlying and overall goal is for the association to look like the community it represents, for the leadership to look like the community it serves. And so we've been successful in that. We have more people around the table and the board making decisions that affect the community it serves. Now those people represent the voices of the community. There are voices from all the different, we call them protected classes, but everybody's represented. All the voices are represented. Maybe I say all, you never get all, but we have representation from pretty much any cultural group or any lifestyle group in our leadership now. And that makes a difference on the kinds of decisions that are made, whether it's what kinds of events to do or what kinds of classes to offer, what kinds of benefits we need to offer. When you have all the voices in the room, then you can hear more honestly and understand about what's needed.
I think diversity is so important because everyone has a different life experience.
Indeed.
And so you only get to make a better decision if you're actually getting information from everyone with those different life experiences in order to be able to make a decision. If you have a room where all of the people have got the same opinion, then you're not going to be able to get that. And, multiple organizations have realized that.
You're exactly right. That is why it's so important for us to continue along that path. Some people start thinking, we need to count how many of their members have joined our organization, and we need to know this and that. Listen, at the end of the day, when you realize your organization now represents the voices of the community it serves, that is a measure of success. It's not about a numbers exchange. As I understood it coming in, it was, yes, we'd love for their members to be a part of us just as much as they love for our members to be a part of them. So if we were measuring, we'd have to measure both ways. How many ARA members have joined all of these organizations? Yep. How many of their members have joined our organizations? But at the end of the day, the goodwill that we're experiencing now, that's a measure of success. And that's important for us to keep in mind as we move forward, is that based on the experience I had coming in and the stories that I was being told, because I'll say as an aside, being in this space, you become the safe space. And being in this position, I should say, you become the safe space. Mm-hmm. I'm that shoulder they cry on, that whisper in the ear to say, hey, I felt like this, or hey, this happened or that happened. And I'm good with that, because then I can take that information and I don't have to say your name, but I can say, hey, it's my understanding that this experience is being had. So back to the main point when it comes to measuring success, when people say now the room looks different, or I feel a difference in the way I interact now. I feel welcome in spaces where, yes, maybe technically you were always welcome, but did you feel it? Did you experience it? Now people are saying to me, I get it. I feel it. I like it. I want to be here, and I'm bringing my friend along. I'm bringing my associates along. And I think that's a show of success for the work that's been done. So kudos to the leadership for being open to the recommendations that I've made over the years.
And I think that's a big nugget. There's a big difference just to being in the room to being part of the room and being part of the discussion and decisions.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a huge difference. And, you mentioned about, them joining us, because it's great because you hear all of the information. I mean, I'm also now part of, ARA and also LGBTQ+, and now maybe NAHREP too.
As you should.
So, you need to.
Yes, you should.
So, I mean, and it's great being part of those different organizations because they all do have something different to offer.
Yes.
If I can add a little bit on that.
Sure.
To the value of joining and participating with those organizations, one of the things I try to promote often, not just the events they do, the events are always fun, everybody has great fun with their own cultural groups, but when I attend their sessions and the speakers that they bring in, they may be speakers from their own culture, but when I say absolutely informed, great information, sharing information that would be beneficial for all, I am still working through how do I get that out now that we have our new website updated. I think I'll be posting, snippets and notes and things so people will see what you've been missing. Because if you want good information, it doesn't matter the voice it comes from. You want information that helps you to make your business better, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes you need to show up at some of these places where they're having these events because they're bringing in top-notch speakers.
Yep.
So I hope others will start to pay attention and come.
And I think that's great because, I mean, anytime you're meeting with a client or a potential client, you can always add something that you've learned from one of these pieces.
Absolutely.
And that makes us, so much more intelligent and be able to talk about different things.
Absolutely.
Too. So what have been some of the most impactful diversity initiatives and why?
I'm glad you mentioned that. One of the things we created was called the Global Love Connect.
Yep, love that.
It became one of my favorites.
Get it? Love
and
it?
that emanated, I love it, love it, yeah, love it. It emanated from the passion to bring everybody together in a way that would allow everybody to socialize and in an informal way, start to get to know each other. And one of the things we did in that space were two things. We did the panel of presidents. And in the panel of presidents, each president talked about the challenges that were happening and the successes in their culture and things that they need to know about how to work with their culture. The other side of it was something fun that we instituted, which was a mixer bingo kind of game.
Yep.
And in that space, you have to talk to everybody in the room because you need to know who is this or who is that based on what's on the card. You got to find somebody who just made a sale last month. You got to find somebody who had their license for 10 or more years. So you got to walk around asking questions of everybody.
Right.
This was a forced but fun interaction that made people have a reason to talk to each other. And because everybody was doing it collectively, nobody felt out of place for walking up and asking you a random question like, hey, how long have you been in business? And then, can you sign this box for me? So it made it fun. We're going to be elevating that coming into the next year so that we can expand the offering. It's not just a one-time party. We're going to make something, a diversity summit, if you will. That's the working title. We're going to make it bigger and better. But that's one of the things that we've done. Of course, we have, as I mentioned before, supported the events that each of the organizations were doing and showing up. And we have had success with that because each year they tend to invite our president to come and narrate or moderate a panel or discussion. So it gives us more exposure in those spaces. And then we invite them in to come in and talk with us. So we love that. And gosh, we've done so much. I got to stop and think about all the wonderful things we've done. I think those are some of the greatest successes if I'm thinking of my favorite things. But continuing the MOU, each year, I was concerned about whether or not that would be a thing as we were looking at budget cuts and everything else.
Right.
But the board has been committed, and I want everybody to know that the leadership here has been committed to that MOU agreement. In that space, we not only have just in words an agreement to share and exchange resources, but our board donates funds for operations for those organizations to support and undergird them. And we also provide them a seat in our emerging leaders class. That's a great win because that's an amazing program. And it's open to everyone, but at least one seat definitely is guaranteed for each organization. And the goal there was for Atlanta Realtors, being one of the oldest boards in existence, a lot of history, a lot of experience, a lot to offer. If we can share the tools and tips from our leaders with their leaders, the hope is that they take something away that helps them to enhance the organizations they're managing. And so that's been a really big thing. Again, hard to measure, other than those organizations keep growing, they keep learning, and we hope that they're continuing to expand and do better because of something maybe they learned in that space. So we're doing a lot of good things.
Right, and I just want to add to that because I'm running the Emerging Leaders Program next year.
Yay.
And
wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're very excited about it.
Wow.
But, even though we're allotting, one seat per multiple organisation, that's not limiting the other people
Definitely
that
not
can be able
limited.
to apply for it too. So we encourage people to apply to the program. It's a great thing to do.
Indeed.
Um,
Creating tomorrow's leaders, and hopefully
Yes.
the more diverse applicants we have, the more diverse our leadership starts to become.
But it's back to kind of the opening statement. It's all about connectivity.
Indeed.
Right. And I think, by, just my involvement and, coming up with emerging leaders and being part of this organization and now part of other organizations, you get to meet so many more people. And it does help with the business too.
Indeed.
They come from a different approach. They have different items. You get different advice. You get to talk about it, ideas for your business and contribute to theirs
and
too.
learn from each
right?
other.
So
Indeed.
that's been really
And by
valuable.
participating in the Emerging Leaders, that's how I ended up becoming a host
Oh,
for the
there you go.
podcast.
Ah,
And becoming the first Latina host.
Wow.
So next month, for the Hispanic Heritage Month, we're going to do our first Spanish podcast episode that
that
has
is
ever
awesome.
been done.
That is
in
awesome.
This 4 years of our podcast.
Yep.
So I'm very proud, obviously. I've been very pushed to do it. I'm like, are you sure this is needed? But it's another way of trying to engage our community, and
Indeed.
perhaps they could listen to these folks that are coming to, because Carmen is going to be doing it with me. And but I think that could really make an impact to, again, our communities, our Latino professionals in Atlanta, so they could see the value that ARA has as, for them.
indeed.
Because there's other boards in their counties, but nothing like ARA. Nothing. And I will say that because I've always been part of this board, and I will always be.
I love it. And I love the idea of a Spanish-speaking podcast for a number of reasons. The hope is that when others who are listening hear it, they will, one, feel heard and engaged.
That's right.
And two, consider, okay, I can find my home over here. I can be
That's
welcome over
exactly.
here. And they care enough to know. And I would love to expand the conversation. One of the things that got put on the table in the past is considering offering some classes that were Spanish-speaking. Mm-hmm. And it became a challenge. I think the association didn't know quite how to handle that at the time, and maybe it's time to revisit it.
Yes.
The concern at the time, as I recall, was they may take the class in Spanish, but if the test is not in Spanish, how does that affect
Right.
them? And maybe that's something you can help elevate or help
Right.
address. I don't know the answers to that, but I listen. I get things dropped in my ear all the time. And that's one of the things I've always thought would be a great idea. And it doesn't have to be Spanish. It can start there, but it may expand in other ways.
Well, a lot of, I can attend one of those, and if it doesn't need to be all Spanish. At the end of the day, we speak Spanglish here, because we're always, we do the business in English, and yet we speak Spanish at home. And so I think you don't have to be perfect Spanish speaking, but, the Spanglish works.
It does.
It works.
It does. We're communicating.
Yes, we're
Right.
communicating.
Oh, that's
So-
awesome.
So, Geilia, you mentioned about the Love Connect and some of those other things. Why is it important for realtors to actually attend those and be part of the conversation?
Helen started on a point that I absolutely agree with. It's something I'd written down as well, which is the more culturally competent you are, the more likely you are to be able to make more sales. You want to develop relationships with people. You want to develop relationships. that's going to lead to trust. Trust is the undergirding thing that, as I understand it, people need when it comes time to do transactions with you. The more you understand about the people you work with, the more likely you are to be able to close the deal, or to even work with, even if it's not that your client is necessarily from a particular culture, the person you're selling to or buying from may be. So the more culturally competent you are, the better off you are in terms of actually making that transaction go smoothly. So why do you show up? When you get into those spaces, when you go to their events, you see other people. There's people like you, as you said, most of them speak English. But in that space, you also learn about their culture. You hear things about things that matter to them, and then you can identify with those things. You have a sensitivity that increases because you have been in that space. You now understand what the Hispanic culture is dealing with. You understand the challenges they may be having. You understand what African Americans are dealing with when it comes to home ownership, and you understand how maybe you can offer something that helps them. So the more you show up in other spaces other than just here at your own association, the more intelligent you become.
And resourceful.
And I think you also find commonality too, right? Because a lot of the things that are common that, they're talking about,
you're all having some of the same experiences.
We're going through the same things.
And you're all having some similar experiences.
And believe it or not, I mean, if I could be a resource to you, if you have a Spanish-speaking client that you don't necessarily know how to deal with, I want you to think of me or Manny or Carmen, depending on our expertise, to refer to each other.
Indeed.
And I've done that in the past.
Because that's the power of our association.
Right.
And I think that's what the missing point that some people say, well, I don't want to go because what am I going to be doing there? Well, you could actually rise up to the occasion, and you may actually get business out of these relationships with other agents. I've known, I've been doing this for 20 years, so by being here, I got a referral from another agent from another company because I spoke Spanish, and it was a first-time home buyer, and he has now referred me business as well. So like that buyer, that I serve, and it was very hard to find him a property, and the lender was American, so I also helped translating a lot of the things that this other practitioner couldn't do. So I was a resource for them, and he didn't even want me to get a referral fee, but that's not the point. It's the client got served with a very good process, and then he also, because he's the contractor for this other agent.
Okay.
And then he just I want to help him, but I know he's better served with somebody that speaks Spanish. And although he's working with a lender that speaks English and he wants to keep that lender, I think he really needs to work with you. And so I'm like, okay, I'll work with him. And it was during the pandemic, and it was very hard to find properties for this gentleman, but we did. And, and that's what it's all about, is the connection and resourcefulness between our own community of realtors here in the ARA. It's all about.
Yep. So Geilia, some places see diversity as a threat. Why do you believe ARA continues to see diversity as a strength?
I believe our members value being intentionally inclusive. At the beginning of this year, for the commercial and residential boards, both have diversity committees. And I spoke with the chairs of the committees and said, the atmosphere shifted. How do you feel about it? And they say, hey, this has been good, and we don't want to walk away from it. We, as you said early on, want to double down on it. We want to let that members know that we believe what we say. It's not just an afterthought. It's not just something we say we do. We don't just say, we have a diversity committee. No, we actually do the work. And that's why it's important to continue, is because the programming that we create, the experiences that have developed, have had the result that we spoke of earlier. We see the difference in the room. When you walk into the space, people feel more inclusive or included because they see people that look like them. It's important for the leadership to reflect the culture and the community it serves. Whereas in the past, as I understood it, and even from the time I've arrived in only 3 years, it looks different. But let me say this. it's the same whether it's advertising, commercials, or anything else. People feel connected when they see themselves. When they walk in and they see somebody who looks like them, or they talk to somebody who is experiencing life in the way that they are in their culture, if they can find one or two people in the space, then they feel, oh, I belong here. Belonging is very important. And so people now feel more like they belong here. And Atlanta has been intentional about creating that space. So I'm glad that we have elected to continue doing what we're doing and to not back away from it, or not to reduce the support that we provide in the ways that we do.
That's great.
It's interesting to say that. Now that it just hit me.
What's that?
When I saw, because in 20 years, I will come to the events, but I was never really involved in the leadership and the association. And when I started seeing Manny get more and more involved, and I said, I like that the association is embracing our Latinos, and
right.
I could also help. I could be of help. So let me see what I can do.
So you have something to add.
And so I think that's the click. It just hit me when you mentioned that. I'm like, why did I get involved? When did this happen? And it was when he was going to be leading the leadership, the emerging leaders.
Yep, emerging leaders, yep.
And so I decided to apply. And that's when I got elected to be part of the emerging leaders. And then it opened, that's when I really understood everything that we do here that nobody knows. And so that's when I got excited about it. And then I'm in a space that is not necessarily a committee at the podcast, but because of my background in journalism, I was given this opportunity, and I definitely am now more responsible to do a very good job here. And that's why we decided, because also Keith Biggs is he's such a great leader, and he's a friend of mine, and he said, Helen, you need to do the Spanish version. I'm like, but why? But now it all clicked as you were talking about. I'm like, wait a second, now that makes sense.
And let me add to something that you're saying that I hope will click for everyone else. That's the experience you had, but that's been multiplied. And imagine what would have happened if you hadn't felt that way. We wouldn't have you as a host providing a new offering that's going to be amazingly beneficial for the association. So if the association is not receptive or not open, it's missing out on the opportunity to have people like yourself step up. There are more people like you out there who could be of service to our association. So the more open we are and the more we invite them in, we're enriched because they bring things like you did, a wealth of experience that help us to offer something that maybe we didn't know we needed.
Now I'm more excited. Thank you, Keith. Now I'm more excited. I'm pumped up because I'm like, I wonder if, I'm very competitive, y'all. I don't know if you know, but I'm very competitive. So now I'm thinking, who else or what other boards would have a podcast in Spanish for their members? We do.
We do.
Yes.
And thank you, Manny. Obviously,
Manny's amazing.
Big impact.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Bundle of energy.
Yes.
So Helen, you wear many hats, as you've mentioned, right? You're part of the ARA. You did part of the podcast committee. Proud member of NAHREP. Why is it important for you to stay actually engaged in both organizations?
I think it's important that as a leader, you give back. I think for me, 20 years in the business, you don't keep it to yourself. You have to give it back. If not, then what was this for? So I think the moment you stop growing is the moment your business starts dying. Mm-hmm. And for you to continue to grow, continue to be ahead of, be innovative, and get to know the network and provide the best service for your clients, you have to know the other agents that are going to be collaborating with you, and what better way and easier way than the ARA. And so I think that's what clicked, whereas before it was like, I don't have time for the ARA. I don't have any business doing there. Whereas now I see it as like, okay, when I call to show a house and I see that it's somebody that is in one of the committees, it's a lot easier.
Right.
They know me. It's a lot easier to do business with these people and perhaps get some special treatments. Mm-hmm. There might be a multiple offer situation, and that relationship helps to maybe get me better results, so to speak, because of the relationship. That's really what it is. It's really about building the relationships in our community, because that, again, it serves our client in a better way. I mean, why am I going to be a secret agent? Don't be a secret agent.
Right.
And for many years, obviously, I was busy with when my twins were born, and I had to tend to the kids. So it was kids and just regular sales, and I couldn't be involved in anything. But NAHREP, I only had space for NAHREP when I was on the national board. But then when I got out of that, I was a little burned out. And then I got into personal development. And then from there, I'm like, okay, well, all of this personal development, I need to give it back. And so to answer your question, that's why I think it's important to be very diverse within your own individual. I also do triathlons, you know, and I'm very competitive. I have that edge of competitiveness, and I bring that to the table. So I want to inspire other women realtors, Latinas perhaps, great. If not, whoever wants to get inspired, because you can do it. It's just a matter of scaling and being consistent, and you could do it all. You just have to plan your day and really put yourself first. Sometimes realtors, we run so many hats, and we want to do so much that we end up not taking care of ourselves, and we are who we provide to our clients. And if we're tired and burned out and sick and just we're not the best self for others. So that's why I try to maintain that health and educational, professional balance, so to speak, where I can be I have my portion of it each, so it completes my my circle.
Right. And the same thing would apply to other realtors too, right? So by being part of both organizations, again, it's the whole piece, right? So connectivity, the collaboration.
And you don't have to go to every single event. You can just, participate to whatever you want. But it's such a minimal cost to the benefits that it offers.
Right. So Geilia, how can ARA members be more instrumental in advancing diversity?
Few things come to mind.
Uh-huh.
Initially, as Helen just said, show up. Show up. Go to other events that other people are offering, other organizations are offering. Don't just come to ours. Go to the events that others are offering. You're always welcome. You don't have to be a part of their culture. You don't have to be Hispanic to show up at the Hispanic Association event, and the same with every other culture. When you find out about a speaker that's going to be of interest, a topic that's going to be of interest, sign up and show up, and be intentional about doing it. Show up and represent Atlanta Realtors. Ask the question again, because something else, you spurred a thought and I want to finish it.
Yeah, no, it was about how can ARA members be more instrumental in advancing diversity needs?
Absolutely. Sorry, my mind just went blank. I know you can cut that out, Lance. On it.
Or keep it in.
Something else I wanted to say on that point, in addition to just showing up. That was it. So one of the initiatives that we created it emanated from the Diversity Committee, and we call them the Diversity Champions.
Okay, yep.
And the Diversity Champions are people who are on the Diversity Committee. They're there because they believe in what we're doing. They believe in the work that's being done. But when we have these cute pins that, I don't know, Lance, you can zoom in and show. But the pins were designed by one of the members, and it shows just a collective group of multicultural, different colored hands all collectively joined together in a circle, which is endless.
Yep.
No end to the circle. But the role of a diversity champion, these are people who serve on multiple committees. They're on the diversity committee, but they serve on other committees. Anytime, and I mention this at orientation all the time, when you're new in this space, it's huge. It's a big association.
Right.
It can be overwhelming.
Yep.
You join a committee, you don't know where to go. You don't know how to connect. You don't know who to talk to. Diversity champions are just people, I call them kind of the ushers of the association. They volunteer to say, hey, I'm on this committee, and if you need help, you need to meet somebody. You just need to have somebody that you can call a friend right away. They are there for that. And so each committee, we've got to do probably better about making sure that the chairs of each committee recognize the diversity champions who are on their committee.
Yeah.
but they are there for the purpose of helping new people navigate and build relationships inside the association. They are your designated new friends. So that's one of the things I commend the committee for doing and continuing to do. It's just people signing up. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It doesn't even cost you much extra time. You're just making yourself available to say, I'm here to help. And the other thing the diversity champions do is, as committees start to talk about having events or different things that they want to do, they're in the room to say, okay, are we looking at a diverse list of vendors? Are we looking at spaces that are owned by people from different cultures? Or are we just going to the same places, ordering the same foods, doing the same things? They're there to raise that issue, to say, hey, have you considered expanding your thoughts on who else we could engage with? And so awesome. I think that's a success, something that we've done. It's minor. It doesn't take much other than somebody volunteering. They're ambassadors of diversity. They are ambassadors of diversity.
It's a buddy system.
You made it. They call themselves the diversity champions, so it's an amazing club.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So if any of our listeners want to find out more about the programs and associations, what's the best way for them to do that?
Go to our website. Go to the Atlanta Realtors website. And on that site, if you go to the diversity page, there's a page that lists all of our multicultural partners, and there's a link, hyperlink to all of their individual websites. Mm-hmm. Go and learn more about each of those organizations and consider becoming a member, or at least just going to some of the events. The other thing you can do, and we've tried to make this easy for you, we have a DEI calendar. You can go on the Atlanta Realtors website, and when you look under events, there's a link to the Atlanta Realtors regular calendar. Mm-hmm. There's also a link to the DEI calendar. You can click and add that to your Google space. And in that space, or whatever calendar you use, in that space, we upload anything that they're doing and sharing. So if there's something coming up, it will automatically populate on your calendar. Oh. And from there, you can decide to come or not come. You can turn it on, turn it off, however you want. But we try to make it easy for you to find the information. So that's the way that you can get information, and you don't have to go figure it out. We put it all in one place for you.
And that makes it very easy. I mean, I know that I run most of my life by my calendar, right? So if it's in the calendar, then it'll happen, but you can also decide if you can attend it or not.
Exactly. So we try to make it easy for you to connect. You can find them through our website and keep up through the DEI calendar.
That's great. Well, I'd like to thank both of you for being part of this. I think it's been a great conversation.
Thank you for having us, Neel. This is a wonderful idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Until next time, keep showing up at all of the events, speaking up, and lifting others up. Bye, y'all.